myself.
It's unusual for a German to be Catholic.
It's alive! Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.
Hello and welcome to Empire of Geek, take 2. Unfortunately, we began recording this show, got about 8 minutes in, and then I somehow managed to hit the pause button, and so we missed all of the quality that there was. So we're going to basically redo most of the chuffing show. So, just taking a drink there, that doesn't play out all that well. Let me introduce my co-host for today's show. We've got long-time partner, not life partner, podcast partner, Rob over there, who's been losing lots of weight this week, so he's been telling us. So, since this is a science fiction show podcast, tell us about your weight loss, Rob.
I've lost a stone in 3 weeks, just over a stone. Inch off the waist, inch off the neck, 1.5 inches off my chest. I've actually gained 1/8 of an inch on my biceps.
On your guns.
On my guns. And I've lost 3 inches off my thighs.
Well done, well done.
There we go.
And we've got not first time since we've already done this once and then I didn't record it. Second time co-host Dr. G, Florian, real doctor, physicist, chemist, lover of the arts, a friend to all men and woodland creatures.
Actually, interesting fact about me is
you're German.
I'm German.
I once killed a fox.
That I really don't know much about plants at all. My wife is always asks me, what is this plant in German? I have no idea. I know like 3 flowers, roses, tulips, and something else.
And something else.
Yeah, it's just plant. They're just plants. I'm not interested.
That's something else, dear.
It's like this is a tree. But yeah. Anyway,
well, I suppose it's biology, and as everyone
biology,
knows, it's not real science, is it?
Well, it's largely descriptive. No, it isn't.
Is your brother a biologist?
No, he's a chemist.
Oh, right.
Biology is extremely. Anyway, moving on.
Easy. No, it's girl science. Is that how?
You get a lot of. There's a gender imbalance, and I wish more girls did physics, which would be good because there are just not enough women physicists.
So what you're saying is physics is a bit of a sausage fest.
I couldn't possibly say that. No, it's physics is great. It's just I think there's a lot of, without wanting to come over all gender politics and all that, but there's a lot of conditioning possibly of the expectations in society that sort of have a knock-on effect with what women do.
Yeah. My girlfriend's a scientist. She's a biochemist.
Rob's one of her experiments.
And she said the reason why she didn't go down the physics route was just because it's much harder for if you want to have a family and all the other things. There's a lot.
Biology is the way to go if you want to have a family. That's true.
That was a science joke, everybody.
Although without friction, I'm not going. That's not.
It's due to the funding, the competition, and so forth.
There is something. Absolutely, the Royal Society was the new fellows. What was I saying there? The new fellows were announced, and there was only a minute proportion of them were women, and there was an uproar went through the brigade basically, and they were looking at this. But of course, if you've got self-selection by not applying for it, and then you've got these various effects, and they're not encouraged by their supervisors adequately, and then you've got a bias in the first round, and then normally before you become a fellow, there's like 10 rounds that you go through, and it just magnifies the imbalance really. Yeah. So if you start off with 60-40 at the beginning, somebody took us to the maths on Radio 4 quality. But they said then
that's where Rob gets all his opinions from.
I like Radio 4.
Yeah, it's they've there's normally spot on, but occasionally they rub me up the wrong
I'm angry about this, and I'll tell you in a minute when I listen to Radio 4 to find out why.
It's not Radio 5 at the very least, so Radio 5 Live, that's even worse. I don't have anything for lunatics phoning in. At least Radio 4, you get like an apostrophe is in the wrong place. Outrage! Among the Guardian readers.
Bloody Guardian readers.
Which is ironic, really, because the Guardian is full of...
Well, it's all lefty liberal wimps, isn't it?
Absolutely.
We hate them. We hate them. Anyway, so just to make it clear to any new listeners who we've just found the show, or any old listeners who have not managed to insult enough that they've decided not to listen anymore. This is what we do on the show. We're mainly focused on British geekery. However, we don't ignore the fact that other cool stuff goes on elsewhere. So we do talk about that, but we're going to focus on films, television. I choose a British, and it is quite a tenuous British one because it's actually the guy lives in Los Angeles, but he is British. Webcomic of the week, and we talk about British conventions. And I will mention current news that's coming out, as well as maybe some stuff that's happened in the past. In fact, we discovered in the previous version, which I didn't record, that Raoul did not realise that Ben Affleck was going to play Batman.
Yes.
You twat.
Yes.
So you actually got...
Shock news. The shock news is that not that... Well, that was shock news in itself. Everything's shock. Shock news. You didn't know? Ben Affleck is Batman? Oh, no!
But it was good because I remember when I first heard and I thought, you're shitting me, surely.
Well, maybe I did hear, but thought someone was just taking the piss.
I had quite a good luck. I can't remember it. What it was now? That he did such a good job with Daredevil, but second time round, it's not as funny.
We can pretend to.
We can pretend it's the first time round, yeah. But I put it snappy, and it was much more funny. So apologies.
That makes good kind of comedy podcast listening. Telling the listeners that there was a funny joke,
yes,
but they're never going to hear it.
Yeah.
I tell you what, we guffawed, didn't we? Rob chuckled,
yes.
Raoul even, I guffawed,
You did.
Yeah.
and a little bit of we came out. That's just how good it was.
Yeah, and Dash was much asleep.
And we're talking as well about Necro Scat. How did we get on to it?
I think that was your thing, wasn't it? I don't know.
I'm not
It was
majorly
something
into
about
it.
it was something
You
about
said-
Florian
yeah.
crapping over The Waking Dead.
Yeah.
The Walking
Dead.
Dead.
Walking
The
Dead.
Waking.
Sorry.
Yes,
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Oh, that was it. The reason why, obviously, Florian is a good chap, and he's German, so I don't know, manages those two things.
Squaring the circle.
Yeah, he's well known. This is the reason I wanted him on. Well known for, if you're into a geek himself, he has geek credentials.
Yes.
Was in geek clubs before it became popular.
Yeah.
That means before women were members.
Were invented, yeah.
Yes.
Very much. In the 17th century, I think.
A popular invention, women.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone should have one.
I said I was in the Bristol University Student Science Fiction and Fantasy Society, which is eminently, you go there, you pull every night. It's brilliant. Yeah. You pull something. I think it's a beer drinking muscle, probably.
Once you've shaved its beard away, you
Yeah,
discover whether it's a man or a woman.
Dear Lord.
When she's well shorn.
It was good. Now, we played drinking games, and one of the most popular drinking games is obviously the Star Trek drinking game, which is, to take a sip every time Picard says make it so. You take a larger sip every time Marina Sirtis' character Deanna Troi states something blindingly obvious.
Yeah.
But you have to drink a pint. You have to drink a whole pint if the saucer section.
I was going to say, if they detach the saucer
yeah,
section.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a well-known fact. So the guy who was the president of this particular...
Was it Encounter at Farpoint?
Every single one that had saucer separation. We were not sober at the end of it. And that was not light beer that we were drinking.
What I really liked about the Next Generation was, on the few occasions that Riker got command, he destroyed something. You could go for episodes and episodes of Picard. There'd be some kind of badass alien. You think, oh, there's going to be a fight, and then he'd talk them out of it with his clever Professor Xavier voice. But Riker got control, and I only remember twice really when Riker really was in control, and he blew the shit out of stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And he had a beard. He made beards popular because I was very distrustful. And it's fair to say you're wearing a beard at the moment. You've chosen to wear one tonight.
Just tonight. Yeah.
I was very distrustful of beards because only really Jesus, who was wearing the beard and supposedly doing well, I couldn't think of any other beard wearers who who I liked, and then Will Riker came along. Didn't have a beard to begin with.
No, babyface. Right.
See, I've been more concerned about moustaches. Everyone with a moustache has been a bit of a wrong 'un. You know, Florian can vouch for that.
Yeah, it's sort of twirling moustaches and going.
Yeah, there is something about moustaches.
You know,
That's,
moustaches are just wrong. Whereas full beards, you know, Brian Blessed had a
well, now
beard.
a fuel beard.
Full beard.
Screw the Arabs. We don't need their fuel. We're running a
Those
pipeline
Arab
from Brian
listeners.
Blessed's beard. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to get straight on with it now, because last time we talked for possibly about 45 minutes just shit
About Ghostbusters.
about Ghostbusters. Well, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. These the new Ghostbusters reboot that's coming out.
I'm not psychic. I knew that was going to come up. It's, somebody.
You may well
somebody
know
forgot
some
to-
of the stuff that I'm going to mention. There's been a lot of uproar on the internet about the new Ghostbusters reboot. A lot of people saying it's feminism gone too far. It's going to star Melissa McCartney, Christine Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and Leslie Jones as the new Ghostbuster quartet. And the big issue of this is that it's not going to be in the same universe. It's going to be a reboot. And Rob, Raoul, whoever you are, what was your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think that the cast will do a stunning job because if you look
You didn't say that before.
No, I did. I did.
Stop being more moderate the second time round.
No. What I actually said was, I think they'll do a great job. And if you look at the original Ghostbusters, that kind of humour is the type of humour that they would be very good at delivering. You know, and as you said, it's because they're all from a comic background. What I am a little bit concerned about is that it is a reboot. I wish. Now you're nodding because that's what I did say before. I wish that it would just be.
You did start off by saying that they're four whores. That was the first thing you said, as I recall.
I said no such thing. I just wish it wasn't a reboot. I wish it was a continuation. I wish it paid homage or referenced the original films. It just
They might yet do. They might be
Yeah.
on the TV screen.
What, in a kind of a pastiche kind of
Yeah.
way, like you'll see little bits which are, I mean that could work. I just don't like the idea of a complete kind of disconnection from all that was.
Yeah,
That's all.
I agree
But
with
I
that.
think they'll do a good
You
job.
weren't that fair-minded first time, as I recall.
Florian, will you
I-
back me up here? I was that.
I can't remember, to be honest.
Oh,
I
you
had a half a pint of vodka.
bloody Germans!
I can't remember what I talked about 45 minutes ago. That would require my brain cells to work. I said something like, I don't really care, as long
Yeah,
as the
you
film
did.
is good.
Yeah, well,
Judge it on
the
its
voice
own
of reason was you said, wait for it to come out,
Yeah.
but then again, we
And
could
then
say that
stop
for
it.
everything. This would be the shortest podcast ever. New TV show coming out. Judge it on his
you read
merits.
that thing from Dan Aykroyd and Co, didn't you?
I certainly did, and I'm going to read it again now because they haven't heard it.
Yes, true.
Unless they read the website that I stole
Yeah.
it off. So this is from Dan Aykroyd's opinion on it, and he said, "The Aykroyd family is delighted by this inheritance of the Ghostbusters torch, by these most magnificent women in comedy. My great-grandfather, Dr. Sam Aykroyd, the original Ghostbuster, was a man who empowered women in his day, and this is a beautiful development in the legacy of our family business." And it seems that Dan Aykroyd's grandfather was actually a paranormal investigator, and that's what inspired Dan Aykroyd to make the first film. And then Ernie Hudson was asked about it on Twitter, and he said no comment because he don't give a shit.
And also, the Aykroyd statement wouldn't have fit on Twitter, would it?
No.
And 40 characters or...
Well, he could have, put a link to it.
Yeah.
I like Winston, Ernie Hudson's character, Winston Zedmore, but he is very much the token black man in that film.
Yeah.
In fact, he
But
kind
it
of
doesn't
joins
get killed
halfway
off,
through.
so...
Well, no.
done.
But he's a good character as well.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I like him, but the way they kind of slotted him in.
Mm.
So yeah, the new Ghostbusters film, directed by Paul Feig, who also did Bridesmaids and The Heat. I've liked all the films of his that he's done. So I don't know. I think my problem was that it's a little part of my childhood that is being raped and then reformed, and I'm not happy about it because it's not going to. Doesn't matter how good these films are, they're not going to live up to the imaginary Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and I like
But what you
Ghostbusters
have
2.
to remember, though, is there's a new generation, isn't there? There's a whole host of kids out there for whom, as you were saying last week, the kids you teach are totally like out, totally
Edit that.
Yes.
and totally ignorant of black and white films or older films because they automatically discount them and write them off as
Yeah.
boring or rubbish or whatever. So perhaps bringing Ghostbusters in this format to a young audience may rekindle the cult classic and bring that cult to classic to a new audience. It
I
could.
don't buy it. Reboot, remake. The world is full of rubbish
Cash
remakes. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you remember Cape Fear?
Yes.
Yeah, and the modern version of it because there's a black and white one.
Yeah.
And the black and white one has actually got some merit. I think was it Edward G. Robinson? I'm not quite sure. But
Yeah, I think it
was,
is.
Yeah. And the remake was absolute. I don't even have a word for it.
Pap.
Yeah, it was just awful. It was
Like the
really
new
awful.
Karate Kid film.
Well, yeah, quite. It's like as I said before. If
You don't have to keep saying that because they have no knowledge of the people
no,
listening.
that's true. I said that essentially every good film has a scene that everybody can quote and remember. And the original Karate Kid, everybody knows.
Oh yeah, I remember what you said now. You
Yeah.
said
Wax on,
it was
wax
cool
Yeah.
and that you hate slitty-eyed yellow people.
That's
That's being beeped as well.
If there were slitty-eyed yellow people,
I've
in
got
the
to
world,
bleep that now as
then-
well. Then I would dislike them.
Yeah,
Or you judge them on the merits.
I don't judge them on the merits very much. Actually, talking about like awful things, like racism and so on, which you are of course a proponent. It's
That's being
George
beeped.
George Takei has a really interesting backstory. When he was, a kid, his parents and he got interred. Interned? They got put into.
It was a
essentially-
big shit.
They
But we lived in it. We
They
holidayed.
got arrested basically for being, descended from Asian stock and possibly enemies of the empire. They got arrested and put into a camp. And a lot of
was this in Germany?
no, in the US.
Really?
Yeah, gotcha. If you look at
Was he put into a camp or just made camp? Because George Takei is one of the campest men in the world.
Well, yes, it came out at the solid age of something like 61 or something. But no, he's written a musical on it, and it's little known American history. So when they say, when they sort of spout moralistic stuff, there are some really, really bad things. Bill Clinton apologized for infecting, was it Hondurans with syphilis in order to see the effects on people in the wild, basically. And he sent them back to Honduras. I can't remember whether it was Honduras,
Who
but
did this, sorry?
Bill Clinton apologized for it, but it was done
Oh,
in
right,
the Second World War.
But it
or after
wasn't,
the
it
Second
wasn't
World
Bill Clinton that did it.
War. No, although he probably gave it a good go.
Monica
probably-
Lewinsky, and then she passed it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. And the idea was syphilis can now be cured with one big dose of penicillin. Right. So you give somebody like an enormous amount of penicillin, but essentially cured it. The syphilis, not being American. And they did all sorts of experiments on people. To be fair, in obviously, Germany is not exactly a stranger to all sorts of experimentation during the Third Reich. With this, there were all sorts of ethical debates about space.
We're not going to
flight.
talk about your holiday job.
Should the space program benefit from the research?
Yeah, the V2 scientist, yes.
Yeah,
They
and
took
of
over
course
there.
Werner von Braun. Yeah, Werner von Braun. There's a hint there that he was an out-and-out Nazi. Von Braun. Can I just? Anyway, okay. So
There's someone
he
called
got-
Von Braun
Yes.
listening to this now who's just fucking switched off with the French, with the Americans.
and the Germans.
Although I must admit, we did
fellow
insult the
compatriots.
Americans far worse in the unheard,
Yes.
lost
Yeah.
version.
Lost.
Actually, I worked with a guy from Venezuela, and he said, when you say American, he's American. He's obviously
Yeah.
American.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's a little bit of political correctness, I think, necessary to not conflate United States with America, because there's North and South America, obviously. And
Yeah.
anyway, what were we talking about?
God, we've gone all clever there, haven't we, you smart ass? Right, the next thing I
all
wanted to
sorts of
speak
shit.
about was Star Trek 3, which is coming out
Yeah.
in 2016.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams is busy with Star Wars at the moment, so Roberto Orci is taking over. But
Well known for...
Roberto Orci,
Yeah.
films.
Brilliant.
Star Trek 3, that's one of the things.
When you give somebody the job to do a Star Trek film, on their CV it should say, I have made a film before.
Good at
That's-
films.
Yeah, good at films.
Well, do you know who actually threw their coat in the ring to be the director of the new
Coat?
Star Trek film? Their coat, well, their cloak.
Adam Smithy.
No, although that is the name given to whenever someone didn't want to be recognised with the film. It
Yes,
was
who's the smart ass now?
Jonathan Frakes. Well, sorry if it's film stuff.
I think you're patronising a lot of people there.
Sorry, I missed that bit. Jonathan...
Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes, Will
was-
Riker, who
oh,
we're
right,
talking
yeah.
about, old beard face. He said, "Can I direct the new Star Trek?" And they all went, "Didn't you already direct one? And it was shit." Oh no, he did First Contact, didn't he?
First Contact was
It was
brilliant.
good. It was a really good film.
Yeah.
You know, actually,
Who
he did a good
who
show.
did
Insurrection.
really called it Incest?
Incest.
Who did
Star Trek Incest.
Star Trek Incest? Who did Insurrection? Because that was pretty bad.
I'm trying to think who Insurrection was done by.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was alright. I mean, on second watching, to be fair, it was alrightish, but it was pretty...
Christopher Nolan.
They just name people.
No,
Adam
I'm thinking
Smith
of
is-
Inception.
Inception. No.
Inception is a good film.
Inception, I'm thinking of.
No, Roberto Orci is a film writer.
Oh, is
That's
it?
what he's
No.
most well known for. And it was The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Transformers, don't hold that against him, Fringe, that famous science fiction about haircuts, Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's-
Okay, yeah, Cowboys and Aliens, yeah, okay.
But he also Star Trek Into Darkness in the original Star Trek film. He worked
Yeah.
on it with J.J. Abrams. So he's taken the lead now.
Ah, the student has
Because
become the
Into
master.
Darkness was really good. Like,
Nobody picked me up on that, seriously. Okay.
what was that?
I said
It's
Stephen
his Star
Captain
Wars.
also, yes.
Yeah.
It's
Only a
Star
master
Trek,
of,
Star Wars.
only a master of darkness, Darth. If you strike me down now, I become more powerful than you can ever imagine.
Yeah, Alec Guinness is...
Was it Camp Welshman?
No, it doesn't sound nothing like you. That's one point to me for everyone keeping track at home. Anyway, yeah, he's going to take over it, and apparently the big news is Shatner's going to be back in, because The Shat was
It's
offered...
actually the name of a hat. Yes.
And it sounds a bit like a Frenchman saying that something's shit somewhere, doesn't it? Shat.
Shat is actually
It's
cat.
cat, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Shat.
Yeah, Shat.
But he's going to be back in it because apparently he was offered a role in the original, the reboot film, 2009. I'm going to say it was, and he didn't take it up as the supposedly
William Shatner playing himself.
the storyline was he said, "I only want to be in it if it's with me as the main character." That's my William Shatner impression.
I thought he said he wanted to be killed off in the first 5 minutes.
No, that was Bill Murray.
Oh, Bill
In the-
Murray. Oh, all right.
Yeah, in the previous one we spoke about the fact that there was previous attempts to do Ghostbusters 3,
Right.
just harking back to that.
Yes.
But we're at Star Trek 3 now.
Yeah.
Um,
Much better.
Yeah, and he denies that he said he wanted to be one of the lead roles in the remake of Star Trek, the reboot, sorry. But the rumour is he's going to be in this one with Nimoy. It's going to be a decent role. There's also talk they're going to have some sizable roles for some new female main characters. One of them will be Carl Urban's, Bones McCoy's wife, his ex-wife, which could be quite fun because he's quite crotchety, isn't he? Bones,
McCoy?
isn't it? Yeah.
I think he could turn badass. I think he could just flip and go, just go mental.
Who, is this the character,
Like in
Bones?
the
Yeah,
City
the
of-
character. Yeah.
The City on the Edge of Forever, or whatever
I
it's
think
called.
Bones has got it in him to just lose it, like proper lose it.
Oh yes, certainly. But I think I really like Carl Urban's portrayal of him in the films. I think he does a really good job
McCoy.
as McCoy. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
McCoy.
Slightly dry, slightly sarcastic.
Maybe he could play both parts.
And his wife, just with a wig on, that would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
So are they going to have Shatner as a future Kirk? Or
Yes.
From a different dimension.
Yeah, he's going to be
Can you imagine, right? If you're like young Kirk and you see your
Chris
future,
Pine.
Yeah, you see your future self.
Like,
and
Jesus
you're like,
Christ, I need to lay off the food now.
Exactly. You'll be like I end up like you. How depressing would that be?
You could think I had a damn good life. I've got lots of pie ahead of me.
You'd want to have had a damn good life. You end up looking like Shatner.
Yeah. Well, he's now 133, isn't he?
Something like that. It's like that. He's
In
cracking
dog
on
years,
a bit.
maybe. I don't know.
Well,
He's Canadian. In Canadian years, maybe that's.
They're about 2.5 times a normal person, aren't they?
Bill Shatner now turns up in a advert for California,
Oh yeah.
which is very strange because he is Canadian.
It's a famous speech he does, isn't there? If you listen, go on YouTube, look it up. Call I Am Canadian, and it's him just ranting on about
How he's
being Canadian, and
Yeah.
he doesn't make love to green Venusian women and stuff like that.
No.
Apparently, this film's going to focus heavily on Klingons, not some kind of hygiene issue, but the aliens who were featured a little bit in Journey into Dartmouth.
Dartmouth. Journey
Which
to
was
Dartmouth. That would have been That would have been the British version.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Should we go into space to Romulus? No, not Romulus. To what's the home planet the Klingons called? It's called Kronos. Kronos. No, let's go to Dartmouth. Just to everyone at home, if you can picking up a vibe, we did start filming this quite a long time ago. As I've mentioned already several times, I paused it, and so we lost about an hour's worth. So I've had to restart it. During which my long-suffering girlfriend, pregnant girlfriend, is mine apparently, has come home and she wants to make me my dinner. So she's at current. Can you pick up on the vibe? Well, I want you to make me dinner. I bloody well want you to.
What do you mean bloody make?
When are you due with
Next month, 20.
We're having a baby.
Of March.
She says it's mine. I have doubts.
Oh, yeah. Oh, not long.
And also to Dr. G, he's also managed
I'm
to
not
make
pregnant.
a child. He's not pregnant, but you've grown one, haven't you? You hatched one.
Yeah. I
and,
cloned.
and then you
one.
turkey basted it in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so we both could be going to the same, taking our kids to the same play school,
Yeah.
possibly.
Yes.
So
If I wasn't giving up my current life of strife.
Fun.
And, yes.
And living a life of luxury, a kept
Absolutely
man.
Kept man.
So yeah, so that sounds like it's going to be quite interesting. That's going to be landing in 2016. So I'm certainly looking forward to that one.
Everybody remember where we parked?
Yes.
Oh, come on. You know that quote, surely.
It's
no,
from the Star Trek when they go and get the whales,
Mm.
the ship one.
Yeah, it's a shit. One of the shit ones.
Well,
But that, you see, it can't have been that shit because everybody remembers at least a couple of quotes.
What's the one with the Vulcan death trick on the?
That's the one we're talking about.
That's
The
the one,
guy,
yeah, on the
they
bus.
get a
Yeah.
Buster on the bus.
Yeah.
The one where the big alien
Nerve pinch.
spaceship
It's not a
turns
death-
up.
It's
He
not
was,
a death grip, it's a nerve pinch.
He was the guy, the punk playing the music. I believe was a producer on the actually on the film
Oh, it was like a cameo.
as a cameo. Yeah. They just needed somebody to play the role, and I thought he played it brilliantly.
Yeah. Somebody should have punched him in the mouth.
Interestingly enough, Cameo did the song Word Up, the original version.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in their version of it, they had LeVar Burton, who played Geordie the Forge,
Yes.
in Next Generation. I don't know how that ties in.
More popularly now in The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, and
LeVar
also played
Burton, that's
Kunta
himself.
Kinte in Roots as well.
Yeah.
Gets
Very
all
good.
over the place.
I only wish you could see what I can see.
Yeah,
Which is LeVar Burton in more things.
yeah, most
Obviously.
of his things. With his spectral visor. Basically, it's a hairband. Do you ever do this? You nix your
Oh, yeah,
sister's
gotcha.
hairband,
Yeah.
put it down over your eyes. I'm Geordie
Yeah.
the Forge, and you black yourself up.
No,
You go outside,
no,
you get in loads of
that's,
trouble.
That's you stop at the you stop there. That's not no.
Anyway,
Yes.
So-
you could blue yourself up and become a Smurf. That's fine.
but you can't not blacken yourself up bad.
No, that's definitely no.
The other film I want to talk about that's coming up is the Fantastic Four. A new teaser trailer
They
appeared
shouldn't be called that. It just should be called the Four.
because
It's fantastic. It's just too much of self-hyping. A bit of humble pie would be good.
Well, that's what they're known as. They come back from space with all these,
No, it's actually my favourite comic. I do like, and to be fair, the films weren't too bad.
Did you like the
It's alright.
films? I was.
I desperately wanted to like them very much, and I ended up liking them a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose it's.
I thought they were awful, shocking.
They were watchable,
entertaining,
but
yeah,
I just thought.
not on the level
I
of
just-
Green Lantern.
I just didn't give a crap about the characters, though.
Well, it wasn't about the character. Actually, the best character was Victor Van Doom. Actually, I think.
Yeah, from Nip Tuck.
Yeah, Nip Tuck, yeah.
But then even him, they just made it. The thing
Yeah.
about it is, they need, with the Fantastic Four, they need to make you care about the individuals and as a family. And
Yeah.
I never really gave a shit.
Yeah.
No,
They-
about
they-
the cohesion as a family. Yeah.
Yeah, they need more of the best
And-
bits in it was the bits when Johnny Storm,
Yeah.
Captain America, was messing around with Ben Grimm in it. That was the best bit in the film.
But that's the best bit in the comics. Absolutely, the repartee between Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm is
Yeah.
it. That's, nobody gives a toss about. Actually, I have to say though, the Fantastic Four, a fantastic example of women getting the best superpowers in the end. She starts off as the Invisible Girl,
But she has force fields,
but then
doesn't
she
she?
has force field, and she in the comics she can force field everything.
She can put them in people's brains, can't she, and stuff, if she wanted to kill them. I remember someone chatting with me
Oh
about
yeah.
being-
She does sticks out of force fields basically, and she can basically hurl them at things. But Johnny Storm, which you think might be the most powerful character, she can just in the comics it's sort of a strange it's obviously magical energy, that can't be defined, but it still runs on oxygen, the flame. So if there's no oxygen around,
Of course.
it actually goes out,
So she can put a force field
Yeah.
around him.
and then basically.
He died a few years back in the comics, Johnny Storm did.
I've not read it since my teenage days, so I have to say. But I wasn't an avid comic book reader.
Do you know in the new version, do you know the current issue about Johnny Storm? Have you heard
That he's not very well written for.
this? That would be a complaint after the film comes out.
No, go on.
He is going to be played by the actor, I've written his name down, Michael B. Jordan, who is a black chap, and it's caused a lot of issues because obviously Johnny Storm is Sue Storm's brother, and people were going, how can there be a white woman with a... And obviously, he could be half
Adopted.
Yeah,
brother,
that's never
adopted.
happened. No,
Yeah.
that's absolutely. People always think that when if you've got a black woman and a white man, or the other way around, you get sort of the exact mixture of it, and it's not true. Absolutely not true. It can be true.
So
but
the
it's not
science
always
is
true.
that they actually could be brother and sister.
Oh yeah,
You've heard it
if
here
the
now.
parents were black and white. Yeah, absolutely.
Take that, internet
Jessica Alba is not exactly. She's got something.
She's mixed race, isn't she?
Yeah, she's mixed.
Yeah,
Thank you for that.
She's not going to be in it though. It's Kate Mara now playing Sue Storm. Miles Teller is going to take over from Ioan Grufford
Oh,
as a younger version
I
of
like
her.
her.
Yeah, they're getting rid of them all. And Jamie Bell, who famously,
Danced his
Yeah.
way into our hearts.
yes,
Oh.
he's taken over Michael
Brilliant.
Chilkis as the Thing. So you can have a ballet dancing
The
thing.
Thing?
Yeah.
How the hell is he going to be the Thing?
Well, they're going to put loads of
Somebody-
special effects on him.
somebody-
Is he not going to bulk
Yeah.
up or something?
It's special effects, Rob. He's made of rock.
Yeah, but it's, anyway, yeah, go on.
So that's going to be released on July the 14th, 2017.
I don't see. You see, people say that about James Bond, right? Can't be a woman, can't be black. I don't see that because we've swallowed
Well, I think it would
Roger
be quite,
Moore,
it would be
Sean
quite,
Connery.
It would be quite difficult to make James Bond a woman, but not a proper.
Towards
Jamie
Lazenby.
Bond, Jamie Bond. No, but especially not black. Black should be possible.
there'd be no problem changing their
Didn't
ethnicity.
they?
But making him a woman.
Didn't they?
Jane Bond.
Didn't they think about making a spin-off from James Bond with black woman who's now an extant?
Oh yeah, that fucking lunatic.
Why can I not remember the name?
Did she not have a relationship with Sly Stallone for a while?
Oh, possibly.
She was also in one of the Conan films. Her name is what's her bloody name? She's so famous as well, isn't
Yeah,
she?
she is. Yeah.
She's
She
a
did a shoe
mentalist.
advert for a German shoe company.
Yeah. Well, what's her bloody name?
Not the one that's married to David Bowie.
No,
That's a French model.
Iman, whatever. No,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
No.
What the hell is she called?
It'll come
We'll
back.
kick ourselves as soon as you Google the name.
I bet the viewers are
Oh.
kicking their phones
Oh,
around.
I know who you mean now. Yeah, she was a Bond villain, wasn't she?
Yeah, a Bond girl.
Yes.
Bond girl.
Was she Bond? I thought she was a villain.
Yeah, sort of henchman, I think, but no, she worked for another agency.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was her bloody name? That is
Time's up. We don't know the name.
Burning your dinner.
that's my my girlfriend making my dinner because that's how I roll.
Google extant.
Extant. Oh, I was gonna look up. I know her name. I can see it, but I don't want to. Normally, I would not want to use Google, but because it's a podcast, no one wants to hear 10 minutes of silence than me going, "I remembered who it is."
Yeah.
Her name is... Where are you, you knob? I know she's a weirdo.
What's short hair?
She's a very weird lady. Come
Whose
on.
name we can't remember.
Does she have
Oh.
the blonde?
Grace Jones!
Yes.
What? No.
Grace Jones, yeah.
No!
Yes,
you
Grace
weirdo.
Jones.
No! She was... Yeah, no, but she's not the one, no. She was not the one that they thought about making a spin-off of. It was one of the...
Oh, sorry, I'm with you. Halle Berry.
Halle Berry.
As Jinx.
Yes.
Oh, I wish you'd said that straight away. That would have been...
Oh, if I had remembered the name, I could have remembered.
Yes, they did.
What was
I remember now. Yeah, they were talking about
Yeah.
having a... The thing a bit about Halle Berry is, I might have mentioned this in a previous episode, she's a shit actress. She's only good in Swordfish, but she gets her baps out.
You may not have noticed this, but in Hollywood, acting ability is sort of... I hesitate to say secondary because it really isn't actually. I think you need to be quite pretty, and
See, I don't think Daniel Craig... People go up saying, oh, he's handsome.
yeah,
I
he's
think
not Hollywood.
He's a bit of an ugly... But he's a good actor, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's perfect for the role. Perfect for the role. He brings a slightly harder.
I like the violence he brings to it.
While-
I liked Roger Moore. I know when you...
Yeah, I like Roger
Your
Moore.
voice was almost... You'd like to Roger
my
Moore.
First, my
You don't need to. You're having a kid.
well, it wasn't the UKIP candidate who made sexual advances to the only Asian candidate who was also a bit of a fantasist. Wasn't he called Roger Bird? Which was quite funny.
But they were both. I mean, the UKIP guy and that lady.
Yeah.
They were both shown up for being.
Yeah, she was a fantasist apparently.
Yeah,
and he was just unsavoury.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
UKIP.
Neither of
So-
them were pleasant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
That's the
mental
UKIP voters gone as well.
Yeah,
from your
freaking...
podcast.
No one's listening now.
To be fair, at 12 you can't really vote, which I presume is who's listening to this.
Anyway, so that film's coming out, so there's been lots of people on the internet slagging off.
That's all the mature people gone now, of course. All the plus 20.
What do you mean? As if anyone mature was ever listening to
No,
this.
that's true. I noticed your Avengers, shower gel and moisturiser in the bathroom, which is, I think does your other half try and beat it out of you?
What are we talking about now? Exactly what?
It's too late.
She
for
doesn't
that.
need to. She's pregnant.
No, exactly. Yeah.
That wasn't the pot of shower gel. The pot next to it is what you're
Oh,
thinking
right.
about.
Fair enough. It's at spares. Just in case.
I sell it.
Baster.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So I think this week, female Ghostbusters and Black Human Torch has been one of the most racist comments that has been, and it's been mentioned online, was, is he black because he burnt too long? That was one of the comments that someone put on
Right.
there for the Human
Yeah.
Torch. So
That's pretty stupid.
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was one of the comments that was on there. There's been lots of
I
other
think
ones.
he's black because the actor who plays him is black.
Yeah,
That's
but the point is, they said, someone else said, when I say someone else, sometimes when you hear stories like this, this isn't me saying this incidentally. This genuinely is
Nice
someone
save,
else.
Nice save.
It's Rob. One of the other comments was, I will watch this film when we have a white shaft.
I'm sure there are a lot of white shafts already in films, and
I think a lot of white shafts
Yeah,
were right in
they're-
these comments as
they're
well.
probably what the Americans would say
Thing
R
is,
rated.
that's another thing. Where I don't think you could have a white shaft. It wouldn't work as well.
Well, not with your exercise at the moment. I imagine it's more red raw, isn't it?
Weren't you talking about stuffing something down your trousers to make it more slippery?
Yeah.
Something like
No,
that.
Yeah,
this
he
is
was on
like
about
a-
earlier on, dear
It's all
listener.
about cycling.
He's on about
Cycling.
some kind of nut butter or something that he smears over his thighs. Then he
Well,
straps his
crotch area.
spandex on.
It's like a chamois cream or chamois butter, and you shove it over your bits when you're cycling, and it stops the
Oh,
chafing.
no one needs a
Does
thought
it
of...
actually,
But
does
it's
it
like
work
when
for
you-
nipples as well?
You
when
can,
jog?
yeah, you can use for nipples as well. Yeah, if you're doing like a 50 mile, if you're out cycling 50 odd miles, honestly, you'll be begging that you had to stuff on your ass.
I wish I'd greased my balls.
Yeah.
Exactly, you
Grease
would be.
lightning.
Yeah. Anyway, slight digression. It's out of context now as well because before.
Okay,
had
so
some
we're
context.
talking
Right,
about...
I need to speed all this up. So anyway, they're so confident. It's Fox, isn't it, who own the Fantastic Four? They're is it Fox or is it Sony? So it's Sony. I think Sony. Sony is so confident of the success of this film that they've already named the date for the Fantastic Four 2 film, the sequel.
All right.
And there's even talks of a 2018.
Would
they
that
say-
be Fantastic Four 4 in normal money.
Or
Because it'd be the fourth. Not going to do another Origins.
Well,
story,
this
are they?
must
With that
be-
new
yeah,
crew?
yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna. I think
Oh,
it'll start.
flip me.
It's a reboot, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
No,
it will be, yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's a reboot. Yeah,
No, you can't shove origin stories down our throat. It was worse, bad enough with Spider-Man.
well, this was
Okay,
one of the
and
big bitches with
Hulk again.
we mentioned
And-
earlier. Well, the one about redoing the next Spider-Man might well not have what's his face in it. His name slipped me now.
Garfield.
Yeah, Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
I
Because
thought we were talking
he's
about the cat.
he's apparently pissed off Sony quite significantly.
Yeah.
There's a board meeting he was meant to go to with investors, Japanese investors or something or other, and he didn't go to it.
Are they going to do the flipping Amazing Spider-Man after the Amazing Spider-Man and Spider-Man?
Well,
And give us another origin story?
there was someone actually suggested that Sam Raimi come back and do it, but I think he said no after.
He's a bit old now, I think.
Well, he's
It's
not
swinging
to
from
play
building
it,
to building.
to direct it.
Bruce Campbell could be Spider-Man.
Oh,
Maybe.
imagine that.
I'd go and see that. I love Bruce Campbell in anything.
So there's this secret 2018 film project, which, because of obviously Avengers has done so well, they
Yeah.
think that they're going to have an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover film. That is the talk. Because everyone wants to build...
That is not the talk, that's crap.
I don't know how that could work.
No.
Well, because they see the
They're
success of
powered by
Avengers, and
different
they...
things.
That's what DC are doing as well. Everyone wants now to do films that lead into other films. That's what they're trying to do with Spider-Man. They were going to do this Sinister Six thing and create a universe around it, thinking it will be as bankable as Avengers, but it's probably going to suck balls.
Yeah.
So that is all the film news.
Yay!
Yes! That's the
Have
first
you-
we managed to get through it.
You've not paused it.
I'm just going to check. I don't like checking too often to see that I paused it because I don't know if it makes a noise for the... If they keep hearing my fingers. It's not paused, we're still going.
Cool.
We're still live. Well, I want to talk about TV news, and I am going to try and speed up because I've already had Lisa whisper to me... Well, not whisper to me, she looked at me with her eyes, said, "Dinner's nearly ready, you bastard."
I think she only said, "You bastard." That's all I could hear.
Well, I can smell the dinner, so I assumed
okay.
that dinner was ready as well.
Dog.
Yeah.
Right, what I want to talk about is TV now. There's talk of, I don't think they announced it, but there's Red Dwarf 11, new series of Red Dwarf coming out.
Yeah. To be fair, that was not bad.
Is this
That's not bad.
on Dave?
It probably will be, yes. On account of they've basically took it on now. Dave did a special Red Dwarf before they did the last series, where they met themselves, and I mentioned this in a previous episode, where he had them coming to Earth and they met Craig Charles and all that, which I didn't like that. I thought it was shit.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy films like that, and I've said that before
That's
at
too
length.
self-referential.
I kind of think it's a classic example of just let it lie.
I thought 10 was okay.
Well, apparently 10. The reason they're making the new one is 10 did really well.
Oh, right.
It's, I don't think I actually saw much of 10, but
We saw they did marathons, which basically means cheap programming, and also it's content they paid for. They're going to marathon the bejesus out of it.
yeah.
So yeah, no, we did watch it as a marathon, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, I've not really seen
Not
it,
aided
but
by alcohol.
I don't mind watching.
Yeah, so good.
So yeah, we're all up for a new Red Dwarf. Rob, you don't like it.
The last one, I
Red
started to
Dwarf
watch.
wasn't that good to start off with.
I thought,
Yeah, it was. Well, yeah, but the first ones they're pretty serious. Well, they're not as laugh-filled as the later ones.
Yeah.
It was around about what series did I? Series, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. Well,
It's,
they did the
series
Quarry-
3
Quarry
was quite
Monster
funny,
and
I'm pretty
stuff.
sure, and yeah, some of them.
And some of the later ones were really
maybe it was
disturbing.
because I was like 13, 14 when it was, and I just thought it was genius. Because
Yeah.
I was 13, 14, and maybe now
Well, there's
my tastes have changed. I don't know.
some later ones are really quite dark. Rimmerworld and so on. That's fantastic.
I thought that was a brilliant
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Well,
Ace.
somewhere they go to the waxwork planet.
Oh yeah.
I remember seeing that, and when the waxworks die, the way that the wax pours out of the mouth, that's quite.
Yeah.
And there's a backwards planet as well,
Yeah.
which was quite
Not
a cool
normal.
one. The end of where the cat goes for a shit at the end
The
of it.
thing is,
Yeah.
Douglas Adams is missing now. 'Cause he's
It was
dead.
Rob Grant and Doug Naylor.
Yeah, you're thinking Hitchhiker's
Yeah.
Guide to the Galaxy.
But I think if you had him alive, he could take on the new series and do a good job.
But why when you got the original guys doing it?
But I just don't think there was. Good.
I think you're riding the Hitchhiker Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. I think you thought,
Just admit
I wish
that
I'd not
it's-
mentioned that now. Must
Yeah.
continue with this
Just
line of
admit you got it
thought.
wrong.
Anyway, so yeah, we're excited about that one. I want to quickly name some other series that I'm personally looking
Yeah.
forward to. One of them, this is being made with BBC America, which I quite like everything they do because they did recently, which I got on about Orphan
Orphan
Black,
Black.
which is cool. The new series, which is called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's based on a series of books by Susanna Clarke. And what it's about, basically, is this guy, Mr. Norrell, who's from Northern England, and it's set in a past of England where magic kind of existed, but it's forgotten about. So in London, you have these almost like scientists who do theoretical magic. And this Mr. Norrell, he can actually do magic. And he brings back this guy's wife to life from death. But he makes this deal with there's an evil kind of fairy type guy. I think they call him the bristly haired man or whatever, who's this fairy. And he makes a deal, I'll bring her back to life, but half of the time, at night time, she lives with him in this weird kind of fairy kingdom thing, where he keeps up dancing all night, so she's fucking catatonic most of the time. And then this other guy called Jonathan Strange starts developing powers, and they begin to work together, then they fall out. And it's quite an interesting story because you have in it, Jonathan Strange goes off to help in the Napoleonic War, starts off in the Peninsular War, and he ends up killing Napoleon in it. So it's like history, but with magic interwoven. Now, I know you're going to fucking hate that because the whole idea of magic pisses you off. But
Yes and no. There are bits where I don't mind it. For example, in Star Wars. Annoying laugh. But no, if magic is accounted for thermodynamically in some sense, so basically that means okay.
Obeys laws of physics.
this is where his science ruins it.
No, but you know Harry Potter, right? He can't cast a spell, and then 10 minutes later he just concentrates a little bit harder, and he can suddenly cast. Well, that to me is just a really, really rubbish plot device. So if you can somehow make it clever, and I tell you what, I would like to see return to the screens, which is TV screens or any screen really. It's The Lost Room. The Lost Room was essentially a fantastic television program which ran for exactly one series, and it was clever. It was really, really clever. It was about a motel room somewhere, and there were items in it, and people went in it, and it was like a connection, a link to God, if you believed in that. Although it was never really said. And there was a ticket which, if you touched it, would get you to outside of the hotel room, basically. Of the motel room, and there were like different things, magic items, which like there was a pen that if you double clicked it, you got 2p out of it. And so the guy who found that out basically spent all day clicking it and tried to, but he went mad because obviously no matter how quickly you click it, you don't get really enough money to make it worthwhile. You know, particularly at prices, from 1990s or 2000 or whatever. But there were things that you could combine, and it was logical, sort of within its own universe. You know, it had cleverness.
So it was believable.
I think it's not even believable. It's one thing maybe, but it's more about the cleverness. I like a good.
I get that, where
internally logical.
Logical
thing.
fantasy.
Yeah. Harry Potter was not in the films. He doesn't strike me as a good wizard. He doesn't.
Well, I always thought in it that all through the
He doesn't
films,
do
up until
anything
the
ever.
end, he never shows any particular great aptitude or
for it,
power.
no. Hermione Granger is much.
Yeah,
more
she would
apt.
be.
Well, I read somewhere, I've forgotten the name of the author.
J.K. Rowling.
J.K. Rowling. Feeling that she should have rewritten, or she wished, with hindsight, that she had not married Hermione off to the ginger one. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. It's a bit incestuous, isn't it?
Ron.
Ron. Yeah, well, she was saying that she should have hooked him up with Harry, because there's no way a girl as intelligent and bright and fantastic as Hermione
They say love is blind.
would settle.
Have you met Rob's girlfriend?
Oh dear. Is she blind? Sorry, I didn't want to cause any offence.
No, but she has recently started to wear glasses.
Oh right.
and then
Okay.
she stopped seeing it. Makes a lot of
Well,
excuses now.
There's this fantastic story about the. Did you hear that about the? Was it New Zealand woman who wrote a letter of complaint to the hospital, and the hospital performed an operation on her husband. And sorry, this has nothing to do with science fiction or anything, but basically she complained that her husband had lost all sex drive. Basically, his libido was, and the hospital wrote back and said, "That's funny. All we did was correct his eyesight." Oh, dear.
I remember watching a TV show called Carnival, which was about this travelling carnival, and there was a character in that who,
There's a clue in the title, I think.
yes, you picked up on it. That's why you're a
Yes,
scientist.
Absolutely. Yes.
And he could, he healed someone's broken legs or something in it. And then you thought, oh, it's amazing, got powers. And as the Carnival left town, all the crops around started dying wherever he'd been, and discovered that there was Clancy Brown, who played the Kurgan in Highlander. He was this priest type guy, and that they were. You could see that they were opposites of each other.
Yeah.
But it was quite cool seeing how the main good guy could use his powers, but there was a real cost. You had to take the life force from something.
Yeah. Well, if it's accountable, it makes for a much more clever plot device, I think, rather than if you're in a sticky situation. Oh, yes, we can use the sword of blah, and we just need to go there and get it. It's like, there was a pastiche about novel writing, basically fantasy novel writing, and basically they said there's 3 types of scenarios. There's like stranger breezes into town. Or hero goes off from town and acquires a crew, and that was basically a whole. Not Game of Thrones, not George R. R. Martin, but one of the other authors basically continually wrote.
Tolkien.
No, not Tolkien. It's American. Not Robert Jordan either.
David Gemmell.
Possibly, but the guy. It's one of these authors, but essentially very easy to read books, basically.
Did he do Legend? There's just the Legend, and there's a group of 7 warriors in those, and they feature in lots of his other books. I think it's David Gemmell.
Yeah, it's one of them anyway, and he's notorious for always doing the same sort of thing, which is basically hero goes off and acquires a crew, and they go and find the gem of destiny or whatever from this evil person, and they smite him, and then half the group dies, and it's very formulaic, but people love it. Because I suppose it's wholesome, and it's in some ways, and it's comforting, because if you know where it's going, there's no surprise.
Well, we mentioned before, last week we talked about the fact that there's only supposedly a certain number of stories that hit.
Journey, isn't it?
Yeah, that they all go on. And I spoke a little bit about Vladimir Prop. That's because when Jamesy was here, Catface, he went all kind of film theory on us.
Yeah.
And started leading us, but you're doing better. Well,
Actually, yeah. I think.
unless Jamesy listens to this, in which case
he's marvellous. Yeah.
No, you've
And I've stolen all my
you've
material
given a credit to the podcast. You've managed to raise the bar.
And the second time round, first time round was terrible.
Make it a little bit like Question Time, like Jamesy, but also on topic. So
I haven't finished yet. Don't big him up. He could really massively screw it up in the next few minutes. So that series is going to be on in 2000. Well, it's going to be premiered on BBC America sometime in 2015. But it sounds very interesting. I like the idea that they've interwoven it into real events, obviously, but it's a fantasy world where you got this. They also discover magic.
I think this harking back to like a 19th century England is quite popular. I mean,
Well, like kind of
you've got
steampunk thing,
Downton Abbey
retrofuturism.
and the woman in black in the horror.
In this one, though, the authoress, she altered it around a little bit by having normally the north of England
I
in
think
these
you're allowed
things.
to say author when there's a woman still. It's fine.
Authoress.
Authoress. Gauche.
It just reminds me of
Not a-
in Ivanhoe where there was
Yeah.
the is her name Rebecca?
Yeah,
The Jewess.
I think so, yeah.
I think they refer to her as
Yeah,
the
the
Jewess.
Jewess.
I've completely lost my point. Yeah. Anyway, normally the north is always seen as kind of very kind of solid and no nonsense.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
in this version, if it's the same as in the
It's
books,
slightly camp.
it's more kind of it's like, oh hello. It's more kind of ethereal and a bit more
Yeah.
whimsical.
Yeah.
Whereas the south isn't
Yeah.
so much. So
Well,
all the magic's in the north, as
Yeah.
I've always said.
Fair enough.
this.
There's nothing rude in that, if that's what you're taking it.
No.
All the magic's down south.
Yeah, no. That's where the magic happens. No.
So that sounds very interesting. And that the company that's actually making that he's also working on another film, which is called not film. Sorry, what am I talking about? A TV show called Rivers of London, which is again based on a quite popular series of books, which is about, and I think it's set in an urban fantasy
It's the
thing.
theme tune. Do, 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 do.
Yeah, it's just like a fantasy EastEnders.
As I said, I'm rubbish at singing or humming. So there you go.
Peter Grant is the name of the main character in it. He's a apprentice wizard, but he works for the police. And
Right.
basically, he investigates. So it's set in, I guess, modern London, but this is this hidden fantasy world going on. And if the first book, Rivers of London, within it, he has to solve, I think, some murders, and also the rivers of London have become personifications. So they are all the tributaries
Oh, like
are
river
people.
gods type thing.
Yeah, and there's a war brewing between two of the main river gods. So it sounds like it's going to be quite an interesting story. Not much has been said about it. It was announced last year, and the books are really popular, but I've not heard much more about it. So it's about Peter Grant, a young officer in the Metropolitan Police Force. He somehow has some kind of magical abilities that allows him to see ghosts or see a ghost, and he's recruited into a special branch of the Met Office. Met
Maybe
Office,
that's-
not the weathermen. Where he predicts the weather. Where the Mets or Metropolitan Police. Where he gets under this chap called Nightingale, who is the last wizard.
Yeah.
And
Maybe there'll be a Ghostbusters crossover.
well, Isaac Newton's in the books, so it's
Right.
but it's this urban. I like urban fantasy. I like the
Yeah.
idea that around us there's this
Discworld
strange,
type stuff.
strange fantasy world going on.
That's what I think most of the time of the real world.
When
Or
you meet,
is it?
when you meet Rob, I think that how can you really exist
Oh, Tour de Force.
when you've spoke to you? I'm a Tour de France.
Yeah.
Interesting enough, I wasn't going to mention this on this one, but I was reading on the internet, and this Texan woman has announced that she's been watching this family of Bigfoots, and that they've just had a baby.
Shouldn't they be big feet?
Big feet, yes.
Yeah.
And they've just had a baby,
sure.
so Bigfoot's having a son
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So
It's
All
not like
bit
the
the same.
Gruffalo.
all bit the same nursery.
Yeah.
Also known as skunk foot, by some people. The Bigfoot, it's a bit of a shitty name, isn't it? If you're going to be called.
What's
So-
the fact that Bigfoot always looks like a man in a suit?
Because it is a man.
I
nursery.
play a game called Borderlands, Borderlands 2, quite a lot. And there's a mission where you have to rename the Bullymongs, and Bullymongs are basically like Yeti-type creatures, or Bigfoot-type creatures. And at one point, he suggests the name Bonafart. And you always want to keep it at that, but you can't. You have to progress with the mission, really, at one point, because you need to shoot more.
Shoot a
Bonafarts.
Bonafart.
Yeah. It's very good, though.
Right, so other TV news is Walking Dead is coming back in 2 weeks' time. So
Yes.
if we all sit back now and let Dr. G rip the heart
no.
out of our favourite series.
No, I hate zombies. I'm easily scared. I honestly hate horror films. I do not like horror films, except for very rare exceptions like Alien, which I don't really regard as a horror film.
Yeah.
Although it's a survival horror essentially. But the thing with zombies is that I like cleverness and I like consistency, and I can see that zombies are the ultimate nightmare in some ways because they don't die and so forth. Except in 28 Days Later, right? I think they actually can starve and cease to.
Yeah, but it's like a virus type thing, isn't it? That gets into
that's
rage.
usually the thing. But the film World War Z or World War Z, if you're pronouncing the letter properly, that was based on a book, which I think is quite an interesting thing because it's not about the zombies themselves.
By Max
It's not
Brooks?
about it's more observational about what different countries would do if there was an outbreak in
Yeah.
their
Yeah, I've got
in
that.
their place.
Mel Brooks' son, incidentally. Mel Brooks'
Yeah.
son. But
Yeah. So of course Hollywood turned World War Z into a survival shooter, basically.
yeah.
But what I don't like about zombies is that they break the laws of thermodynamics. That's essentially the thing that I do not like about them. It's where does the energy come from? Capture some and have them run around a treadmill in front of a fresh brain, and you can have electricity forever. It's just it's not. incidentally, that's my discipline procedure. Whenever
So scrap fusion. Just get a load of
Zombies, that's the
Absolutely,
solution.
yeah.
Stick them on treadmills.
Yeah, because they go on forever. It's just it's lazy. It's lazy and it's somewhat stupid. It's scary. It does the job in terms of scaring me. But I don't like being scared, so it fails on that count for me as well.
I agree with the fact that there's a lot of horror films that I'm not a massive fan of. In some of the recent ones, because I think that they rely on the something jumping out too much
Jump
in
scares,
place. Yeah, jump scares in place of actual good plotting.
Yeah.
Whereas when some films where you watch them and the slow realization of something terrible is far more interesting.
What's the they did a remake fairly recently with not fairly, a few years ago with Will Smith, and he's the last man, and
Oh, like the Omega Man. That was the original title. Yeah, it's I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. That's right. Yeah.
But interesting thing about that is they had an alternate ending, which is far closer to the book, which is actually quite interesting. So in the book, he realizes that the mutants or the zombies or whatever you want to call them actually are alive and they have brain power.
Yeah, they're a new evolution, so to speak.
Yeah, and so he doesn't blow himself up with.
Because in the actual book, what he finds out is that all the way through it, you're told that there's these monsters and they're after him and he's the good guy.
Yeah.
But in fact, he stalks these creatures by daylight when they sleep. He drags them out and he kills them.
Yeah.
And so I Am Legend refers to the fact that he is this monster to them.
Yeah.
They're terrified of him, which is a very clever thing, which I don't think any of the films have really...
No. Well, the one is with Charlton Heston in it.
That's a
He's
good
not
one.
gonna, he's NRA, National Rifle Association. He's like, I've said this before. If I was Al Qaeda, which I just want to stress, I'm not. Don't edit this out, right? If I was Al Qaeda, though, I would join the National Rifle Association in the US. I would give loads of money to people lobbying against gun control because about 15,000 people each year get shot by guns in the US. And that contrasts with something like 50 in the UK and the same in Germany. And if you take the populations, it's like a factor of probably several thousand that more people get shot in the US. So I would do that. I would probably lobby to get rid of speed restrictions, and that would do far more harm. Not that I'm and lobby for the sugar industry, and so a lot of harm.
And tobacco.
People
Playing
go
the
on-
long game, that's what I like. Long game terrorism.
They go on about 9/11 and they kill each other with far more efficiency every year. And it's just bizarre. Anyway, sorry.
I think that, more than anything else we've ever said, is going to get the most complaints.
Have you had any complaints yet?
We need to generate some.
Not yet. My dad might. He listens to it.
All right.
I've said to him, why do you listen to it? Because there's nothing on it. It doesn't talk about... My dad's into gardening,
Right.
playing squash,
Yeah.
and
He's a demon squash
upsetting people. Like I.
Well,
like,
hang on.
totally badass squash player.
Triffids for gardening. Right. Science fiction there. Squash. Hitting things with a racket. I don't know.
Isn't your dad dominating the league or dominated the league?
Well, he's about 67 now. He still plays. He's got a very good game. He's very good at it. Not want to big him up. I'm sort of no interest to people listening other than Dad. Well done, Dad. The Triffids, I bought the DVD a few years back of Triffids.
That's hardcore gardening.
And my dad's grown a few in his greenhouse.
All right, excellent.
I found the Triffids really scary because there's no human feature on them to judge them by. Just this kind of weird rattle noise.
Yeah. Okay, here's a franchise which has been going far too long over the decades, right? And that's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The original film was about communism
Yeah, Red
settling in the red. Yeah,
Sorry, no,
and then
I got to make a move. It's 10 o'clock.
he's got to make a movement.
I've got to.
Please don't do it on the sofa.
I got to do a Paul and Paul last week.
Do
Oh,
some-
that's
Yeah, he got up halfway through and walked out.
Not because he was insulted, he did have to go home. Well, to be honest, we've got to the end of the main bit show. I can do the comic book thing on my own if you want, because it's just me talking about comic book stuff. And
yeah, I
shit.
don't know anything about current comic
Yeah,
books.
I got to get back because I got a conference call in well, it's actually.
I'm going to have to bleep this if you actually tell us, aren't I?
I won't tell you who it was. Who was with? No, I was actually meant to have it.
Ew, I've got a
4 minutes ago.
conference
I was meant to have it at 10
Look at me,
Look at
aren't
me,
I
it's
important?
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, I got to go.
That's fine. I'll finish off on my own, you bastard.
That's not the first time you've said this.
No.
Thanks, Steve.
It's when he
Well,
offers
you-
to finish me off.
You
That's
saw
No,
all
I'm
his.
certainly not going to.
You saw all his condiments in the bathroom.
Oh, right.
Yeah, my tomato sauce that I keep in there.
Yeah.
Your
Does
where
that,
it was.
does that work particularly well?
Lovely. No, there's nothing wrong with having Avengers shower gel and stuff.
Yeah. It's good.
Who's
I like
in the
it.
geek?
I've got a Batman. Now, this is the most dodgy thing. And this can't make it on the podcast. Maybe. I've got a Batman.
It is going to make it on.
I've got a soap on a rope in the shape of Batman. Which does look like, you know.
Which
some
the
people buy
soap
it
looks
to
like
insert it.
Batman.
Yes. It's
Where do you stick it?
Well, that's the whole point. It's very long and, you know, quite... I'm sure there will have been people at A&E gone, I just put it down on the sofa.
I just fell on this Batman.
Forgotten it's there. I can't use it, though, because it's great. You know,
Yeah.
it's really good. You can't really...
It's how I sometimes buy those that shampoo or shower gel things where they make them for kids and they got
Yeah.
a kick-ass like action figure on top.
Yeah.
I bought a Skylander. I don't even play Skylander. It's just
Yeah.
for kids, but there's something about this fish holding a giant spear gun that just caught my imagination.
Right, dude, I'm off.
Anyway, Raoul, as always, it's been a blast.
Yes, nice to see you.
Yeah, you two. You should come back and do it again with us. Honestly,
And yeah, this time we
it was good.
we could maybe do
Yeah, if we
But
could do it
practice.
without me actually recording it the first time, that would be great.
It happens to the best of us.
See you same time next week then.
Yay!
Yeah, see ya.
Cheers.
See ya.
Bye.
See you then, Robson. And you're back in the room. Well, I've got rid of them two gits. It's me on my own now. Things overran a little bit, and I've got to take a little bit of the blame because I did, as already mentioned, pause the flipping recording and miss about 45 minutes of golden crap that we were talking. Anyway, I'm doing comic of the week. This one's a bit of a cheat. I know the remit of this little bit is to talk about British webcomics. And the guy who writes this one is British. It's drawn by a Russian guy. However, he lives in Los Angeles now. That doesn't, in my book, though, stop it being a British webcomic. The webcomic I'm talking about is called Jump Leads. You can see it at jump-leads, spelt LEADS.com. Okay, it's a science fiction story. It's about these two guys who are trainee reality police. One's called Meanie and one's called Llewellyn. They're on their first kind of training mission, first field training exercise. Things go horrifically wrong, and the guy who's kind of training them gets killed. They end up jumping into this jump ship, which is a device that allows them to travel between different realities. Press the button to send them back home, and things go wrong. And so the story follows them as they travel through different random universes and places trying to get back home. The two main characters, Meanie is quite career-minded. He wants to go back so he can kind of rise up to the ranks. Llewellyn, however, the other guy, has a bit of a secret and does not want to go back. So basically that's the storyline. The drawing style, really, really interesting. I like it. The Russian guy who draws it, Jar, J-J-A-R, got a really interesting style, kind of nice. It's very different to a lot of the stuff you see out there. That's what I like about it. It's quite personalised to him. There's some nice kind of feeling to the lines he uses as well. Really lovely colours. Yeah, it's got a nice look to it. Very kind of cartoony looking as well. So I would nominate that one. And the interesting about it is the guy who writes it. This English guy, Ben Padden, who I said lives in Los Angeles now. He does a ton of other stuff that you can actually check out as well. And he seems like quite a funny writer. A lot of the storyline of this of the jump leads that I've read are really funny. He does dialogue really well. But if you actually look him up, Ben Padden, I suggest you look at him, benpadden.net. He's done a ton of other stuff. One of them's this quite popular YouTube video called Boomer's Day Off, which is got a zombie in it. There's another thing he does called Soul Geek, which is like a dating service he's set up for geeks. So he's a busy guy. Have a look on his website and also at the Jump Leads website. Cool webcomic, drawn really nicely. Fun, interesting story. Definitely suggest you look at it. And also, what I really like about it is it has a little button you can press at the top for if you're a new reader that summarises what has happened so far in the story, which I think is quite cool. You don't need to necessarily go back and read from the beginning if you don't want to. I think that's a really clever idea. So check that out. That is my webcomic of the week. Definitely worth it. Great art, great storyline, very funny, lots of kind of jokes about stuff. Definitely would recommend that one. Which leads me on finally to comic book conventions. Now, I've mentioned, if you listen to some of the previous episodes, I've done most of February, with the exception of a few cons. So if you do want to know some of the other stuff that's going on, feel free to have another look back through some of the previous episodes. And if you skip to the end of them, if you don't want to hear me talking crap, you can see me mention them. But I'll just give a quick rundown of some of the ones towards the end of February. We have mentioned PicoCon, which is a kind of small university science fiction and fantasy convention. There's Midlands Comic Con, that's pretty cool, which is a big one. And we also mentioned, which I think is going to be pretty cool, let me just get it opened up. You've also got the True Believers, which is coming up, and Animanga Pop. Both True Believers sounds amazing. But I've talked about them before, so I'm not going to talk about them too much here. You can go back and listen to previous flipping episodes. The ones I want to talk about this time, there's two different Comic-Cons I want to mention. Well, I'll say Comic-Cons, one's not strictly Comic-Con. One of them, this has got me excited. This is, and you're not going to believe it, is Mighty Morphin PowerCon. Friday the 20th to Sunday the 22nd of February 2015 at the Hilton Birmingham Metropole. Now, this is what's cool about it. Now, there's a big guest list. A lot of them, unfortunately, are rangers from, not from their classic original series. But you have got Bulk and Skull from the original Power Rangers series who are going to be there. Well worth the ticket price alone, I would suggest. There's still tickets available to it. If you want to go and find out about that, look up Massive Events, all one word, .co.uk, and you want to get your ticket for that. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is this, another thing, it's called Costume Character Visits. This is a big event where lots of people, it's doing half term as well, so it's really good if you've got kids and you want to take them along. If you're a fan of Doctor Who or any other sci-fi, you can go along and meet people dressed up as the characters from them. So people like Davros, Ood, Cyber Shades, the Pig Slave from Daleks in New York, Clockwork Droid from the Man in the Fireplace. Also, it was Girl in the Fireplace, wasn't it, what we're talking about. All of them are going to be there. It looks like it's going to be pretty cool, though. So that's the Hyde's Fundraisers Costume Character Visits. So Spaceport will be invaded with costume characters as part of our time travel exhibition. Come and see some of your favourite costume characters, including the Silurian Warrior, Scarecrow and Sycorax. That's at the Spaceport Merseyside. So have a look at that. Yeah, so if you want to find out more about that, go to spaceport.org.uk. Sounds like it's going to be pretty cool with lots of people dressed up. So lots of photo opportunities there. I've actually got some prices for it as well. It's £9 for an adult, £5.50 for a child, that's 5 to 15 years. Or you can get 2 adults and up to 3 children for £23.50. And concessions, £7. So if you fancy going along and meeting some of those characters and getting your picture taken, that would be a good place to go. And I think that's about everything for this week. So thanks for bearing with us. I did mess up the original version, but I'm sure you still enjoyed yourself. And I'll see you all next week. Goodbye.
It's alive! Let's show this prehistoric bitch how we do things downtown.